welcome to another North London Ulysses video. This week we are looking at Lotus Eaters. Hopefully you've watched the video in which I've read it and you read along a little with that chapter. And now I'm going to consider it in a bit more detail in terms of commentary. In Homeric terms, Odysseus's boats have approached an island. They don't know who lives there. They are chastened by recent bad experiences where they've suffered losses. And so tentatively, Odysseus sends a couple of scouts in advance. But happily, this turns out to be the land of the Lotus Eaters. I can't recall what the island is called or the names of the islanders, but they eat the fruit of the Lotus Eaters. And this is, it turns out, is a narcotic substance and gives one a happy glow. So much so that Odysseus goes to see what has happened to them, and they don't want to leave. They are very happy, just lolling about in the land of the Lotus Eaters. And it's Odysseus who could be tempted to go the same way, but has to be fixated on his ultimate aim, which is to return home to Ithaca. So almost kicking and screaming, he drags his crew back to the boats, and having sojourned there with a very pleasant experience, they move on. So that's what's happening as our Homeric background for this chapter. We're about 10 a.m. in the morning, so we're corresponding broadly to where Stephen was in Nestor when he's teaching his class. Joyce tells us that our bodily organ, we get a bodily organ this time, and it's the genitals. Our art is botany, so flowers, we'll be looking out for those. The symbol is the Eucharist, the ceremony of the Eucharist. Our technique is narcissism. So, generally speaking, to follow that Homeric line, we're looking out for words such as narcotic, stupefy, paralyze, hypnotic, drunk, trance, perfume, lethargy. That's the sort of feel that we have to things. It's warmish. One might think it's not going to be so warm at 10 o'clock in the morning as to paralyze people from going about their daily business, but such is life, it seems, in Dublin on that morning in 1904. So let's get on with it. Normal book, page 85. We start with Bloom. He started walking. So that's the first thing. That's an important thing. This whole segment of the book, massive 12 chapters, is called The Wanderings of Ulysses. But we last left Bloom at his house on the toilet. So now he's in transit. He has started to wander, and he finds himself near the docks by Sir John Rogerson's quay, and he's making his way to Westland Row. He goes by, he observes some small children, one of them smoking a chewed fag butt. So immediately we're into narcotics. Is Bloom going to help him and remove the cigarette from the young child's mouth? No, he sort of can't be bothered. He's in a laid-back mood. Oh, let him. His life isn't such a bed of roses, waiting outside pubs to bring Da home. Come home to ma, Da. Slack hour, again. Not much motion. Slack hour. Won't be many there. What's he talking about? As it turns out, he's thinking ahead to when he reaches the post office. he thinks that about the funeral. He's got to get to the funeral, which is at 11. Time enough. We don't know time enough yet for what. He thinks that Corny Kelleher, who works at the undertaker's, will have got the job. That morning's funeral, Paddy Dignam is going to be buried. But Bloom, thinking in business terms, he's also thinking of the funeral as a business venture, and that someone is getting paid for it. The undertakers, it's their job. And in a sort of sales pitch, Corny Kelleher, who works for the undertakers, has won that business for them. All the business about Tooralim Tay, Kelleher has this habit of singing a particular song with his eyes closed. That will symbolise Kelleher later in the book. And I also want to draw your attention to Bloom thinking police tout. Dublin in those days was really had a real problem with sort of touts and spies among the working class Catholic community that would, for money generally, work for the British and let them know when there was going to be a Fenian activity or something like that. So he thinks police tout. He suspects Kelleher might be one of those. He gets to a tea company, a shop selling tea, the Belfast and Oriental Tea Company. He considers it's rather warm. He blandly took off his hat, quietly inhaling his hair oil. Sort of a narcotic influence there. Sent his right hand with slow grace over his brow and hair. Things are sort of moving in slow motion. And he looks inside the hat. There's the leather headband inside his high-grade ha. So we've had this phrase mentioned a few times now. I think it's about time to explain. If you haven't worked it out, there is inside the hat, a bowler hat, and there's a headband, a sweatband that says, plus those high-grade hat, or at least it did. But as the years have gone on, with a bit of sweat, the tea has been smudged out. And this headband is quite important because he has hidden, tucked inside it, a little business card, which he takes out and transfers to his waistcoat pocket, considering, again, it's so warm, because he's in a tea shop looking at all the teas. There's Ceylon tea and Javanese tea. He imagines the Far East and people hanging about there on page 87, generally lolling about, doing nothing, dolce far niente, sort of busy doing nothing. Lethargy, flowers of idleness. It's too hot to quarrel. He thinks of some of these plants that don't even need feeding. They just sort of live off of the air. It reminds him, walk on rose leaves, imagine, where was the chap I saw in that picture somewhere? Oh yes, the Dead Sea, floating on his back, reading a book with a parasol open. So at leisure, he doesn't need to swim in the sea. He's being supported by the huge salt level in the Dead Sea. That makes him think about what is weight. What's the scientific explanation of weight? He remembers learning it at school. It's something to do with that a body falls at 32 feet per second. He's trying to work it out. It's the force of gravity. The Earth is the weight. It's something like that, and he's trying to work it out, but also he can't really be bothered. He turns away and continues down the road. How did she walk with her sausages? It's a funny thing to think about, and I think it's that she was walking with the sausage. Either he's thinking about her swinging hips, but maybe more likely here, he wants to be casual. He doesn't want to draw attention to himself. She was just walking along, holding the sausages. No one paid her any attention whatsoever. She was completely natural. He's aiming for that. He takes out the Freeman's newspaper, which is folded. He unfolds it. He rolls it into a baton and taps it at each sauntering step against his trouser leg with a careless air. Again, you might think he's just trying to do this to be natural. I wonder, bearing in mind the rather randy type mission that he is on, whether it takes on a phallic aspect, tapping against his trouser leg with each step. But he's trying to maintain this careless air. He's not up to anything surreptitious. He's just out for a morning stroll, just drop in to see. Per second, for every second it means, still vaguely thinking about falling bodies, looks into the post office, no one's there, and in he goes. He hands this card, this business card, through the grill. Are there any letters for me? He asks. No need to state his name, because he's handed her the card. The postmistress goes and has a look. While that's happening, he looks at this recruiting poster on the wall showing various soldiers. He thinks to himself, no answer probably, went too far last time. So he's expecting a letter, thinks there probably won't be a letter because has he, in his letter, gone too far? But the letter comes. The postmistress hands him back a card with the letter, and he glances at it, and the letter doesn't say Mr. L. Bloom. It says Henry Flower, Esquire. Excuse me. Dear, excuse me. No, it says Henry Flower. Care of Post Office, Westland Row, City. Oh, very strange. He then thinks, oh, whoa, answered anyhow. He puts the card and the letter into his side pocket, looks again at the soldiers, has some observations on them. He wonders if his father-in-law's regiment is shown on there anywhere. There's reference in there that they seem hypnotized. And let's move on. He strolls out the post office. Strange phrase, talk, as if that would mend matters. Strange that's there. I must say, I haven't looked into that. It could be, is he intended to talk through with Molly? There's quite a lot in Ulysses that happens off the page. For example, we've lost an hour. It's now 10 o'clock. We left him, I think, at about 9:15. We don't know what happened when he got off the toilet. One assumes he may well have gone up to Molly again, had another conversation, confirmed the time of the funeral, and off he goes. But we don't know what that was. So I wonder if talk, as if that would mend matters, means words were said, or that he thought about it but decided, what's the point? Okay. With the letter still in his pocket, he puts his hand in there and rips open the envelope in jerks, so no one can see this letter. And he draws forth the letter and crumples up the envelope. And as he brings the letter out, remember, he's only feeling it in his pocket at this point, but he can feel there's something inside. He wondered, something pinned on the letter. Maybe it's a photo or hair, maybe. But he doesn't know. It's in his pocket. Next thing, someone approaches him, McCoy. Oh dear, that upsets Bloom. He's looking forward to getting away and reading this letter. But McCoy's not over keen on him anyway, and they engage in small talk. Quite an interesting thing that goes on page 89 and perhaps and probably most of page 90 as well. Yeah, quite a funny episode. Actually, three things are happening at once here. The most immediate thing is Bloom is conducting a conversation with McCoy. At the same time, his hand is in his pocket, feeling this letter and thinking about what this bulge might be, this rather flat object that is pinned to the letter. Then, sidetracked, he is diverted halfway down page 89 by something that's happening over the road. There's the Grosvenor Hotel. A cab has pulled up outside to collect a woman and what he thinks might be her brother, and they need to get into the cab. The brother is looking for some change, and they're about to get up. And Bloom is looking at her, and he's quite attracted to her. She seems a haughty type. He observes she's wearing what he imagines are long leather boots, lace-up boots, and that she has a haughty persona to her. So he imagines she's quite a well-off lady from a good family, off to the country for some sort of country pursuit, hunting or fishing or something, or horse riding, something like that. She's attractive to Bloom, and he thinks when she gets up onto that cab, she's going to have to lift her skirt, and he might get a glimpse of silk-stockinged thigh or ankle at any rate. So these three things are going, as you read through it, you'll see that is quite a funny episode. He comes out with some quite misogynist views. Reserved, about to yield, possess her once, take the starch out of her. So she might look haughty, but he thinks most, generally women, once you get them where you want them, and you, I think, without to be too graphic, touch them in the right place, the action happens. But he's very, very upset because just as she's about to get onto the cab, lift up her leg, a tram comes along the road and obscures Bloom's view. And so he's very upset about that. The business about the valise in the conversation that's going on is McCoy has previously tried a little trick where he says that his wife has got a singing engagement, but they haven't got any suitcases, and could he borrow one? And when it's happened before, it didn't happen to Bloom, but it happened to someone else. I can't think who, but anyway, it doesn't matter. He pawns the case, for money for drink. And Bloom thinks, well, I'm not falling for that. He's also irked by McCoy because McCoy seems to align his wife with Molly, that they're both singers, and Bloom is rather insulted by that. He thinks Molly's voice is a different class altogether, and wants to put him in his place by saying, yes, Molly's got her tour of Belfast next week. But that rather backfires on Bloom every time, when he tries to think about Molly in glowing terms. He's reminded of what's going to happen and her affair with Boylan. And McCoy innocently asks, oh, that tour, right, yes, who's getting it up? With that double entendre. And Bloom responds, says about, oh, it's Boylan, yes, it's very good, he's good at that sort of stuff. It's part shares, part profit. So, again, double entendre that he's sharing his wife. Okay, let's press on. I'm on to page 92. They discuss that Paddy has died. Bloom's going to the funeral, and McCoy asks him for a favour. He's not sure if he can get there, but he knows there'll be a book of mourners or that the mourners will be noted. He said, just put my name down, will you? Put down C.P. McCoy. Bloom agrees to do so. Off we go. Bloom wanders into another street and he notices various posters, advertising posters on the wall. Because Bloom is in that game, he sells advertising space for a newspaper, the Freeman's Journal and Evening Telegraph, two sister newspapers. He's observant of adverts. Here he notices one for Cantrell and Cochrane ginger ale (aromatic). There we are, one of our druggy sort of allusions, although it's a ginger ale, it's a non-alcoholic drink, but nevertheless. Then there's an advertisement for a play, Lear, starring Mrs. Bandman Palmer, and like to see her in that again. So Bloom's seen that before. Mrs. Bandman Palmer is one of the big actresses of the day, so much so that the previous night she played Hamlet, and not in Hamlet, she played Hamlet. It introduces a little cross-dressing woman becoming man idea, which will be important to us later in the book. Male impersonator, he thinks, well, perhaps Hamlet was a woman. Maybe that was why Ophelia committed suicide, which is quite interesting. Committing suicide makes him think, and I think this might be the first time we have reference to it, poor papa. And turns out as we'll find out, his father has committed suicide. But his father, this play was important to his father, and it's a play about a Jewish community, I think in Austria, and one of the community, Nathan, converts to Christianity and is sort of castigated by his blind father, who says, you've left the God of your father and the God of your the house of his father, and left the God of his father. And Bloom's father has impressed upon Bloom, every word is so deep, Leopold. Remember, Bloom's father has converted to Christianity, so he has left the God of his fathers and the house of his father, in that he's emigrated. But nevertheless, he clearly wants to impress upon his son the importance of sticking with the Jewish faith, even though technically they're out of it. Bloom then he goes by what's called the Hazard, which is a cab rank. In fact, I do believe it's what's given the world the name Hazard, in that it was sort of in the middle of the road. And there's horses paying no attention to anything other than the oats in their nose bag. They are stupefied, just munching on oats. And not only that, they are gelded. So they're not thinking about sex. They are just thinking about inhalation and intake of drugs via the oats in the nose bag. He takes the letter out, folds it in his newspaper. Might just walk into her here. The lane is safer. Who's this her? We don't yet know. But on he goes. Turns into Cumberland Street, where he decides it's safe enough. He finds a quiet corner and he thinks he can open the envelope. And then as he unfolds it, oh, it's a flower. I think it's a yellow flower with flattened petals. Oh, not annoyed then. He thinks she might be annoyed at him. And what does she say? And then we get the letter, which I think I'll read again at this point. Dear Henry, I got your last letter to me and thank you very much for it. I'm sorry you did not like my last letter. Why did you enclose the stamps? I'm awfully angry with you. I do wish I could punish you for that. I called you naughty boy because I do not like that other world. Please tell me what is the real meaning of that word. Are you not happy in your home, you poor little naughty boy? I do wish I could do something for you. Please tell me what you think of poor me. I often think of the beautiful name you have. Dear Henry, when will we meet? I think of you so often you have no idea. I have never felt myself so much drawn to a man as you. I feel so bad about. Please write me a long letter and tell me more. Remember, if you do not, I will punish you. So now you know what I will do to you, you naughty boy, if you do not write. Oh, how I long to meet you, Henry dear. Henry dear, do not deny my request before my patience are exhausted. Then I will tell you all. Goodbye now, naughty darling. I've such a headache today, and write by return to your longing Martha. P.S. Do tell me what kind of perfume does your wife use? I want to know. Okay, so a few things hit us immediately. First of all, we're thinking we're not feeling too sorry for Mr. Bloom, whose wife may or may not be having an affair this afternoon, because he doesn't seem to be so innocent himself. What's going on here? Clearly, this is some sort of romantic or sexual liaison. That's number one. Number two, it seems slightly strange, the style of it. There's some grammatical issues, but less so that. It's sort of pulling in two directions at once. On the one hand, Martha seems very keen to see him, very attracted to him, almost desperate. I think of you so often, you have no idea. Something about, I've never felt this way about a man before. Oh, how I long to meet you. So that's really quite gushing and desperate. But on the other hand, she's calling him a naughty boy. She wants to punish him. I wish I could punish you. I will punish you if you don't write. There's sort of quite threatening aspects. And I think certainly as we go through the book, let's align it with what we know now. Bloom was thinking about the maid next door whacking the carpet, and she's got generous hips as she whacks it. He looked at the woman outside the Grosvenor Hotel. Again, a sort of haughty, strict sort of woman. And now we've got a woman in a letter talking about punishing Bloom. So, and we know it's not. This letter is in response to a previous letter to which Bloom wondered if she'd even reply because he might have gone too far. And I called you naughty boy because I do not like that other world. Is that a grammatic mistake? Did she mean word? She then says, what's the real meaning of that word? It's as though Bloom might have asked her to say these things. He wants a sexual role play, potentially with him in the masochistic role. The other thing I notice about it is that why did you enclose the stamps? I'm awfully angry with you. I'm not sure this is forced. I think that she is genuinely angry. She's trying to have some romantic correspondence. She doesn't need him. It's as though he's trying to put it on a business footing. Doesn't want her to spend money. He's sending her the stamp so that she can reply back. So there we are. It's a strange but interesting letter, not least the postscript, and we'll continue to talk about it, I think, shortly.